What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. This channel we talk about fragrances and fashion. So if that interests you, I invite you to go ahead and click the subscribe button. And while you're at it, go ahead and click that bell icon as well. That way you don't miss when I upload future content on the channel. So on today's video, we're going to be talking about fragrances that are head turners. These are fragrances that really, in my experience, have really captured people's attention. I have had situations where people have actually turned around and come back to ask me what it was that I have been wearing. These are the type of fragrances that we're going to talk about today. These fragrances, again, have captured the art of capturing people's attention. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you know how we get down, man. Go ahead and keep it locked right here. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into this list. The first fragrance today comes from the house of Valentino, and this is Valentino Oamo. Now, this is the original Valentino fragrance. Now, there's the Valentino Oamo Intense and a few others that have come after it. But for me, this one is what got me interested, of course, in that whole line and that whole collection, and for good reason. We talk about fragrances, again, that catch people's attention, and that's what this one does. This is definitely a head turner right here. I've had many occasions where people have come back and asked me, what is it that you are wearing in the fall and winter season? Usually is when I rock this one, and man, it's just so smooth. It's so smooth and it's very creamy. If you like fragrances, of course, like Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme, the original Dior Homme, this kind of puts you in the mindset of that, but it's, to me, is even smoother with less of that lipstick vibe that people talk about from Dior Homme. So definitely one I highly recommend. If you never put your nose on this one, this is definitely a head turner from the house of Valentino. This is Valentino Oamo. Next up on the list today, guys, this is definitely a head turner, man. This is for the sophisticated gentleman out there, which I believe that I am. From the house of Chanel, this is Chanel Egoiste. Chanel Egoiste. Now, this fragrance was originally released in 1990, and they have since changed the bottle style and the formulation and things of that nature, but man, it is still so good. If you've never smelled this, think if you smell Musk Ravageur from Frederic Malle. This one reminds me of Musk Ravageur. You have that beautiful sandalwood and cinnamon in this. Is very sophisticated. Not as animalic as Musk Ravageur, but man, I'm telling you guys that dress up and you carry yourself as a gentleman, this is a gentleman's fragrance right here. And when you're dressed up, like I am today, suit and tie, and you're wearing something like this, it turns heads, it stops traffic. So this is one I highly recommend. It may not be for everybody, but it definitely is for me. From the house of Chanel, this is Chanel Egoiste. Next up on the list today, this one comes from the house of Creed, and this is Aventis Cologne. Aventis Cologne. Man, my mind changed about this fragrance because when it first came out, well, at least from the decant, that's why sometimes if it's a small decant, I don't tend not to really want to judge the fragrance as much, because there's something different about the way a fragrance comes off oftentimes to me from a small decant versus the actual bottle. But anyway, I digress. This one is a head turner. This to me it put even more of a mass appealing type of twist to the original Creed Aventis. You don't get as much of that birchy vibe that you get from Creed Aventis, but you get more of a citrus, more of an aromatic quality from this one. And man, this is just one that people love to smell. Hey, what is that you're wearing? I get that a lot when I wear Aventis Cologne. So definitely a head turner from the house of Creed. This is Aventis Cologne. Next up on the list today, guys, this fragrance comes from the house of Christian Dior, and this is Dior Homme Sport. Dior Homme Sport. Listen, I know that a lot of shine goes to the other fragrances from the Dior Homme line. The original Dior Homme, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum. Nobody really talks about Dior Homme Sport. Now, this is not that formulation that was released in 2017. I'm not as much of a fan of that one, but this one, the formulation prior to 2017, is absolutely fantastic. And I'm telling you, this one stops traffic. Guys, so if you can find this one, I highly recommend this one. If you're looking for something that's going to turn heads, this one will get the job done from the house of Christian Dior. This is Dior Homme Sport. All right, guys, and next up on the list today, this fragrance comes from the house of Bond number 9, and this is the scent of peace for him. The scent of peace for him. Guys, I have told this story before. I will never forget. I was in Walmart, and I saw a lady walk by the aisle. She stopped, backed up her cart, came back by, and then decided to go ahead and turn down the aisle, and I could tell she was coming for me. And she said, "Sir, I don't mean to invade your space, but God, what is that you are wearing? It smells absolutely fantastic." And this is what I was wearing. Guys, you've heard it before. This kind of reminds you of Acqu Di Gio, but to me, they are so different. They are so different. Grapefruit is in this one, and it really does its own thing. So what it does, I really enjoy. And again, if you're talking about fragrances that get folks' attention, fragrances that are a head turner, I had to put this fragrance on the list from Bond number 9. Again, if you've never tried it, it's one I highly recommend. This is scent of peace for him. All right, guys, next up on the list, this fragrance comes from the house of Mancera, and this one is called Oud Lemon Mint. Oud Lemon Mint. I've been rocking this one quite a bit over the past 2 weeks, man, and I'm telling you, look, this thing right here stops traffic, man. People want to ask questions and find out what you are wearing because it is such a unique scent DNA. I mean, at one point you're gonna get some oud, but you get some freshness and vibrant notes from lemon in this. I don't ever pick up any mint, but I don't know, just something about this scent right here is very intriguing to people, but it's one that they are going to ask questions about. So definitely a head turner, a conversation starter from the house of Mancera. This is Oud Lemon Mint. The next fragrance that I want to talk about comes from the house of Eccentric Molecules, and this is Molecule 01. Molecule 01. Now this fragrance, of course, is ISOE Super primarily. When you put it on your your clothes more so, you get like this kind of warm, slightly sweet kind of sandalwood type vibe that I get from it. But man, when you put it on skin, it's kind of going to react different to most people. One thing about this fragrance is sometimes as the wearer, you can't really pick it up. So you'll hear folks say sometimes, "Man, is that smells so good?" And you'll be like, "I don't know, is it?" I'm not sure because I can't really pick up the scent anymore, but trust me, even when you cannot smell it, it is still there. This is just a magical fragrance when you talk about folks getting their attention when you wear it. It's just something about it. Again, it's kind of understated. Sometimes you don't even know it's there, but trust me, it is. And you will be reminded of that when people ask you what it is that you're wearing. So definitely a head turner right here from the house of Eccentric Molecules. This is Molecule 01. All right, guys, next up on the list today, this fragrance comes from the house of Prada, and this is Prada Lunarosa Sport. Prada Lunarosa Sport. Again, this is kind of the forgotten one of the Prada Lunarosa line. It is a lighter version of Prada Lunarosa Black. Now, this one did come out first, and for some reason, since Black came out, people seem to forget about this one. But I'm telling you, man, spring, summertime, this thing turns heads. Folks are gonna wanna know what you're wearing when you rock this. Again, it's been a victim of, like some other fragrances I talked last week about, Chanel Allure Sport. The original has kind of been forgotten about because of Edition Blanche and Chanel Allure Sport Eau Extreme, but don't sleep. This one right here is a head turner from the house of Prada. This is Prada Lunarosa Sport. All right, guys, and next up on the list is definitely a head turner for me from the house of Killian. This is Vodka on the Rocks. Vodka on the Rocks, man. This is just magic when it hits skin, man. It's a very, very unique fragrance. Again, like I talked about, Oud Lemon Mint, very unique scent DNA. It's kind of got this slightly salty vibe to it. There's some aldehydes in this. It's just a beautiful scent. Definitely one that people going to want to inquire about from the house of by Killian. So check this one out if you haven't already. This one is called Vodka on the Rocks. And last but not least, guys, this fragrance comes from the house of Nishane, and this one is Hachivat. Hachivat. I think that's how you pronounce it. Every time I say something about this fragrance, somebody in the comment section says that I'm not pronouncing it correctly. So I don't know if that's right or not, but I tried. Nonetheless, again, another one that people compare to Acqu Di Gio, but this to me may be what, maybe 10-20% similarities. This is very, very different to me. It is more about the earthiness of this with patchouli, the green undertone from oak moss. In my opinion, an even more masculine interpretation of the Creed Aventis DNA. But listen, I told the story before when we first started getting out a little bit more last year after the pandemic kind of started. I went to one of the rack stores and there was a plastic, barrier between myself and the associate. She had on a mask, I had on one, and she still could smell this and was impressed by it. That's how much of a conversation starter and head turner this stuff is. So again, a lot of people have been talking about this over the last year and a half or so, but for some reason, if you've never heard about it or never put your nose on it, it's one I highly recommend from the House of Nishane. This is Hachivat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's my time. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to watch this video as I talked about 10 fragrances in my collection that are absolute head turners. As always, I appreciate your time and attention to my video because, of course, I know you didn't have to watch, but you did. I definitely appreciate it. So definitely take a few moments, if you don't mind, to like, comment, and subscribe, and take a moment to share these videos out to some other folks that may, find this kind of content interesting, because I'm your guy, Darian, the bow tie fragrance guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.